Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Welcome to Take It from the Ironwoman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Ironwoman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Ironwoman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take It from the Ironwoman. We only have special guests, and today we go to LeeAnn. We have to give some credits to Donna Cravotta. She is the woman who is the pioneer for the real 50 over 50. So amazing women. She has more than 137 interviews. And it's only growing. It's a 2-year anniversary in the month of March of 2025. At one point, we had a birthday celebration and I met LeeAnn. And then I got a text or a chat and it says, "You two need to meet." Why do we need to meet? Obviously, we have done the Ironman. We have done Mount Kilimanjaro. We are speakers. We are coaches. So we have so many things in common. Give us a little glimpse into your life, LeeAnn, and let's get it started.
Yeah. Well, I'm thrilled to be here. It's so fun to talk to someone who has an interest in all these things, that's done Ironman and done Kilimanjaro and run marathons and is coaches and helps others. We have definitely a kindred spirit going on over here. Let's see. I'm an attorney by training. I've got more than 20 years experience in marketing and business development, more than 20 years coaching. I started coaching in 1998 before anybody knew what the heck it was. And I'm really passionate about helping women over 50, women leaders who have that sensation that the runway ahead is shorter than the runway behind. And they're looking around and realizing they put a lot of time and energy into their career and their family and all these other things. And they're kind of wondering, like, what about me? I always wanted to run a marathon, or I always wanted to go travel here. And I'm ready to do that now. That's what I'm really good at helping them with.
We need more like you and as the role models. And you have shown it when you do Kilimanjaro, marathon, Ironman. You can empathize with others and maybe give them a little kick when they say, I would like to do something like what you have done.
When I really look at my whole career, and I've had a bit of a windy trail with what I've done, at its basics, I've helped thousands and thousands of people to achieve a very important goal. It comes in different forms, but what I've realized through that and just through my own life of doing Kilimanjaro and Ironman and all of that is that there is a path. Wherever you are, wherever you want to go, there's a path. I call it the power path, and power is an acronym. So there's 5 steps to cover. And I have literally used this to achieve all of the things that we've talked about and much more.
My framework is STEPS, STEPS, because we're runners, we need to move ahead. But let's talk about your power. What is that?
The P in power is for power of your past. And that's where we talk about releasing regret. One of my big messages is how to live without regret. And also looking at your accomplishments, right? So if you've done the Ironman, how can you parlay that into other things that you want to do? O in power is optimize your vision. And that is really connecting to your vision, making sure it's your vision, not somebody else's, but also saying, what am I trying to do? Trying to finish the Ironman, trying to get to the top of the mountain. The W is walk the talk. And my shorthand for this is, in order to be different, you must do different. Someone who's training for an Ironman does different activities than somebody who's not, or who's training for a marathon. Whatever you want to do, you have to step into it. The E in power is evolve your mind. And that really looks at, we were talking before we started recording about how mental things like Ironman or Kilimanjaro or owning a business are. And it's really, what are you focusing on and what does your mindset need to be? And then the R is review your crew. And that's looking at who's around you. Who got you here might not get you there. When I first moved to Chicago 17 and a half years ago, I did not know anyone who had run a marathon. We weren't athletic in my family. Then I met this woman who ran a marathon. And then I started running. Then I decided to try triathlon. Well, then I started meeting people who've done triathlon. All of a sudden, I knew 20 people that had done a half Ironman or an Ironman. And then all of a sudden it became available to me because I was like, well, they can do it. I can do it. Changing who was around me and who I was spending time with really changed what I felt was capable of and what I've been able to accomplish in my life. So that's the power path.
I couldn't agree more with you. So first you're like, oh my God, a marathon, it's impossible to do that. And then you meet one person, then you meet another person. I used to be a running coach for the New York Roadrunners in Central Park. There you have everybody who's running a marathon. You feel like a slacker if you only have done one marathon. And then you support the people who go for the first marathon. Hey, this is cool. You can do this. And then you realize statistics says it's 0.01% to do Ironman and it's 0.1% to do the marathon. So you're globally speaking, right?
Yeah.
So then you're such a minority. I did the marathon and people are like, oh my God, what about this? And now everybody has that on their bucket list.
I was having a conversation with a friend that, it's like the marathon and it narrows and then finishing an Ironman, 0.01%. And then I thought, well, I wonder how many people have finished an Ironman and climbed Kilimanjaro. That's even smaller. And I don't know what the percentage is. I haven't been able to find that statistic. But here's what's interesting. It's very rare, right? I literally know at least 5 people that have done both. With you, 6. Whereas before, I didn't even know anyone who had run a marathon. Yeah. It's fascinating who you start hanging out with and what becomes possible.
It's that 6 degree of separation. And I don't know anybody who has done Ironman and Kilimanjaro. Okay, we need to dig a little deeper. I know now a few people have done Kilimanjaro, but not that combined.
Yeah, my friend called me and said, you want to go on safari for your birthday? And she also has done an Ironman. So then we climbed Kili together. It was an adventure.
Is it other people who are not mountaineers or Ironman triathlete people? Do they think we're crazy?
I'm in my business mastermind. I'm the only Ironman and I'm the only one who's done Kilimanjaro. It's all relative because, again, there's a lot of people who maybe have climbed Kilimanjaro, but they would never be an entrepreneur. I learned that when I became an Ironman. A lot of my Ironman friends would take that risk, but they would never, being an entrepreneur seemed way too wild for them. And then I had all these entrepreneur friends that can't do an Ironman. That's crazy. And so it's interesting the perception that we have of ourselves and the kind of constraints that we put on ourselves. When to me, I'm like, well, being an Ironman's kind of crazy. Kili's kind of crazy. Being an entrepreneur is kind of crazy. To me, it's all the same. It's just where are you applying your energy?
And I have to admit, I like when people say you're crazy. Okay, then at least I'm different. I'm not mainstream, what everybody does. So
I would way rather be considered crazy and considered, oh my God, that adventure girl, or oh my God, you're the one who's going to go do whatever. I way rather people think about that with me than say like, I know exactly what she's going to do, or she's not boring, but like kind of just like, boring. But to me, boring.
It's all relative. You mentioned Ironman, Mount Kilimanjaro, entrepreneur. So what can you take from sports that helps you as an entrepreneur?
My path kind of, I think, pulls a lot of the same thing. Signing up for a race and starting a business, I looked at my past. What have I done before? What have I accomplished that can help me do this? In the running world, I started with a 5K and then I did a 10K, kind of worked my way up the distances. One of the other things is looking at your vision or having a plan. You know, you don't just show up on race day. I don't know anybody who's done that. Marathon, every now and then there'll be somebody who didn't train and they do it. But for taking on big endeavors like that, you want to have a plan. You want to have a coach. You want to have somebody with you. You want to have someone who's been through it before. You want to have someone to help you navigate the bumps in the road that are going to come up. In terms of what the actions that you're taking, being really consistent with those and understanding how to train properly. In the case of the Ironman, you got to be able to swim and bike and run. So doing things that allow your body to do all those. And then I think mindset is the crux of everything. If you're focused on the wrong things, or if you don't know how to adjust when the bump in the road comes, because the bump in the road will come on a race and in life, then that can really wipe you out. And the key is, how do you keep it from wiping you out?
What do you think was the bump in the road for the Ironman?
The first thing I do with anything, especially if I've never done it before, always the first thing I do is see if I know somebody who has done it. Like, do I directly know somebody who has run a marathon, done an Ironman, whatever, because they can help you along the path. Usually the second thing I do is hire a coach to help me through the process because they can help you a little more than friends can, and they can give you the secrets and all of that. The other thing I always tap into is, why am I doing this? Because I think you have to have a why that's strong enough to get you through the tough days and to help you to understand and to tap into something greater than yourself when you're going to have a struggle. Everybody has a struggle.
To share my experience for the Ironman, what I thought was the most difficult in a way, and they call it the fourth discipline, is nutrition. My body was so sensitive. I felt like I was just eating pasta, rice, quinoa, but it was paying off.
It's interesting that you say the fourth leg is nutrition, because I've heard that also. And that I didn't finish Ironman the first time that I attempted it. The reason I didn't finish it the first time was nutrition, because what would happen is I always have race day jitters. I usually don't eat before I work out, and my body is fine with that. But with Ironman, obviously, it's a very long day. I got up that morning and I couldn't eat. And the best way I can describe it is, it felt like Thanksgiving when you eat so much. And then it's like the thought of just putting another bite in your mouth. I couldn't eat in the morning. So I did the whole swim, which is pretty amazing. And then I got out, and then I thought, well, that's okay, because my training was you eat the most calories on the bike. I had the Uncrustables, and I had all this stuff I had trained with, and my thing was just jammed full. And I got on the bike and I ate half of an Uncrustable, and I couldn't eat anymore. I just didn't feel like I shoved it down my top, the half of that Uncrustable, because my little bag on my bike was full of other food. And I just tried and tried and tried. And I went through I finished the whole bike course. I did the whole 112 miles, but I missed the cutoff by 15 minutes. And so they wouldn't let me run. I had that half of that peanut butter and jelly Uncrustable shoved down my shirt the whole time. So it's pretty amazing that I did all the things that I did, considering how few calories that I took in. But I was getting slow, and then I was getting worried. And then the mental part kicked in, because one thing that was interesting for me with Ironman was, as they're very strict about cutoff, would always be part of our coaching. Make sure you finish the swim in this amount of time. Make sure you're here at this point. As a person who's been coaching for years and who's a student of positive psychology, I'm not going to learn the cutoffs because I'm not going to need them. And I don't even want that to be in my brain. I don't even want it to be in my head that I got to worry about it. And so I'm just not going to worry about it. Well, then lo and behold, that day I had to worry about it. And then it started this whole other mental game of, well, how long do I have? Did I miss the same? When's the cutoff? I don't know when the cutoff is. And that took a lot of energy. That's one of my greatest lessons from Ironman, besides sorting out the food, was realizing that instead, and when I went back 2 years later and got my medal, instead of saying, like, I don't want to worry about the bad things, quote unquote, that could happen, I instead said, well, if this happens, what will I do? If I get a flat tire, here's how I change it. If I don't feel like eating, here's the backup thing that I'll do. If this happens, I'll do this. If I fall, I'll do this. It was adjusting my plan, and also realizing that it's not, quote unquote, bad to focus on a negative thing that can happen, but instead it's better to focus and be prepared. And then I had a different issue. I go through the whole thing. I ended up doing, when I came back in 2016, I did 2 half Ironman to prepare for the full, like, because I wanted to get this race day nutrition thing down. Tried different things and different amounts, and I did all that. I figured that part out. I trained really, 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 really hard because I wanted to make the cutoff by as much as I had missed it before. I do the swim. My swim is 10 minutes faster than the time before. I come out of the water and I am just flying. I literally hit the time, the exact time that I thought I would hit for my swim, like to the minute. I get on the bike and I'm like, all right, rocking, ready to go. And 5 miles into the bike, my back starts clenching up. I had issues through training of my back sometimes being tight. And I have had those little pads that you put on and all that. And it was like, oh my God. So I had to keep stretching. My plan on the bike was to stop 2, maybe 3 times to use the bathroom, do all the bottles and whatever. When I looked back at my Garmin, I stopped 17 times to stretch my back because it was just so cranked up. And it's such a hit. Wisconsin is a very hilly. Thank God I knew it well enough that I knew, okay, if I'm going to stretch, I got to stretch here, because you don't want to like try to stretch in the middle of a climb. Like, I kept stretching. And then of course I get to this point where I'm like, oh my God, I'm cutting it close again. I made the first cutoff on the bike, and I had my Garmin set for like just the bike, not for the whole thing. I started to like, oh my God, I'm cutting it close. Like how close? And then I was like, I can't do the math. It just, the last
Let's
20
go.
miles, it's
Let's
got to
go.
go
Let's
fast,
go.
as fast as I can, fast as I can. So I get to the bottom, the Wisconsin bike course ends at the top of a parking garage. So you have to ride up one of those helix that you drive around.
Oh my God.
Yeah, at 112 miles. So I get to the bottom of the helix. My friend is at the bottom of the helix. She's like, you have 1 minute.
Oh, I get goosebumps.
What can you do at this point, right? I mean, I've been pushing as hard as I can for 20 miles. What can I do? I'm literally doing all that I can, as fast as I can, as hard as I can. I get up to the thing. I see the clock, and I missed the prior time. I missed the cutoff by 15 minutes. This time I made the cutoff by 19 seconds. 19 seconds.
For the listeners, we have to say the Ironman people are very strict. Oh my God,
Yeah.
congratulations. Oh, I get goosebumps.
I know. It was great. You know, usually you like dismount your bike and then you kind of walk it across the timing mat, but I knew they're so strict. I was, get out of the way, really putting hard in as I sped across, because a woman came in 20 seconds behind me, missed the cutoff by within 10 seconds, and they said no.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let her go. So yeah. Oh my God. So then, I got off the thing. Then I got to go do my run, and it was the best 26.2 miles I've ever done in my life.
So we were talking about business, and people say, oh, I'm afraid to start a business. But then when you listen to your Ironman experience, it's risky, it's scary. You need to have a plan B. I think this is what you need to put in your mind, that you are okay with what you have. And a lot of people don't realize it's actually about the training. It's not so much about that one day. I always say everybody starts at the same start line. Everybody finishes at the same finish line.
You got the same medal that the winner got.
Some people are just a little faster than others.
And you know what? It's so interesting too, because when I didn't finish that first time, that was heart-wrenching. I was depressed after that because I had spent a year training, and I had, as an entrepreneur, I felt guilty whenever I was training for Ironman, I wasn't working on my business. And when I'm working in my business, I felt guilty that I wasn't training for my Ironman. But it seemed like it'll be quote unquote worth it because you'll at least get the medal and then you'll have that thing. I didn't have a file for that. It was really hard for me to reconcile that I had done all the right things, quote unquote, and not gotten my goal. But I'll tell you, as I sit here today, I wouldn't trade that second Ironman experience for the world, because going back, I'm getting emotional now just thinking about it. Going back and showing myself that I could do it, that I could learn from my mistakes, that I could focus differently, that I could train harder, that train smarter, that I could sort out the nutrition thing, that I could take everything that happened in that first one and learn it again. And that moment when I crossed that finish line, I'm telling you, unbelievable. And the support that I had along the way and the magic of that entire day, like I'm so glad that I didn't finish the first time. So glad.
And now we can even see the Ironman tattoo. So congratulations. This is fantastic.
Yes,
wonderful. What do you do when you don't work or don't work out? Is there anything else that you are passionate about?
I love cooking. I love traveling. I love comedy. You will find me at a comedy club or watching those. I volunteer. There's a soup kitchen in my neighborhood called Dignity Diner where we serve meals to people. And so I do that once a week.
It seems like you're such a well-rounded person, the running, the biking, the swimming, and also giving back, and an entrepreneur.
The volunteer work that I do, I love the way it does, because I didn't want to just give money. I like giving the time, but most importantly, I like creating experience for the people where they eat with dignity and where we have conversations and where I get to serve, like literally serve somebody. And that to me was important, because I don't want to just give somebody a handout, or I want it to be meaningful. I wanted it to feel meaningful for both of us.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
2 Ironman triathlete women. We can never stop talking. What an impressive conversation. What would you do if you had 19 seconds to spare? 19 seconds. Not a lot. Congratulations. Take it from the Ironwoman. We have episodes every Monday. Check in with us. We have interesting guests that you can learn something from them, grow with them, ask questions. And Take It from the Ironwoman is also the book Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. download it or get it in your local bookstore. And also like and subscribe to take it from the Ironwoman on the platform where you are listening to this episode. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.